Welcome to Spotlight. I'm your host, Amitha. Join us weekly to get inspired by guests and their success stories. Our guest today is a multi award winning business leader, pioneer, philanthropist, and much more. He is doing charitable work not just within Canada, but internationally as well. It's with pleasure I welcome to our show City of Markham's Ward 7 Councilor, Khalid Usman. Welcome, sir.
Thank you very much. My God, you did a great introduction for me.
Well, I don't think I did justice to your introduction because you do so much. But first, let's go right into you as a person. Tell us a little bit more about where you grew up, your education.
Well, I was born in a small city compared to the large international cities. It's called Peshawar in Pakistan. And that's in the northwest frontier, near the Afghanistan border. So that's where I was born, and the famous Khyber Pass is there. It's about 15 miles from my home. So that's where I was born. I brought up. I went to school there. And then from there onwards, I went to a cadet college in Hassan Abdal, where I did my matriculation, which is grade 10. And then after that, I went to university in Peshawar. I did my BCom honors. And then in 1970, I came to Canada to do my chartered accountancy. So that was what I did when I came here as a profession. And then in 75, I got my CA license. And then I became a partner with a large CA firm. And eventually in 85, I started my own practice. And I've been in practice since then. That's my professional life.
That's amazing. Well, we are so glad that you have come to Canada, and the journey, from where you started to where you are now is quite inspirational, because a lot of the times when we as immigrants move to Canada, we sometimes get disheartened if we are not able to follow through with what we have come here with. Back then, did you face any challenges per se?
This is very interesting, a very interesting question. In 1970, when I came and, the CA program, not only do you go to university to get your credits, but you also have to do practical apprenticeship, which is called articleship. So that means you have to get a job, a full-time job with the CA firm. So I remember when I landed, it was August the 26th, and September 15th, my university was about to start with. And I needed a job, so I went downtown hunting for a job. And in those days, this is interesting. Even the clothing that we wear were very formal. I used to have a three-piece suit because we were of the opinion back home from there that, when you go to look for a job, you got to be in your best clothes. So which was a three-piece suit. I went and I looked for a job. I went from one office to the other. And, every time the question was, you have Canadian experience? And, it drove me nuts. Because I said, that I just landed last week. So how can I have the Canadian experience? So finally, the one firm that hired me actually on this. So they asked me the same question, you have Canadian experience? So I looked at him and I said, sir, you're not joking with me, are you? He says, why? I said, I told you, I only came here about 8-9 days ago. So unless you give me the opportunity, how can I get my Canadian experience? He says, Khalid, you are dressed so well and you talk so well. I said, when do you want to start? I said, tomorrow. That was the beginning. It was the best break I got. But what it tells me is, you should not be hesitating in expressing yourself and saying this frustration is always there, because even in 70, they were saying, do you have Canadian experience? I mean, we'll never get that experience unless the opportunity is provided. So, but I'm grateful to that firm that gave me the opportunity. And then it was hard work, and by the grace of God, I progressed very well. And both in my studies and in my work. And in a short period of 11 years, I became a partner in the CA firm.
Wow, amazing. That's
Fastest
quite
growth.
inspirational. But it's because two keywords I heard there. Well, at least you said hard work, but what I hear from you is humility and also the belief in yourself. I guess you stand up for yourself, and I mean every country calls for it for experience in their own land before you can get into the work field. But yours is quite inspirational that you stood up for yourself, and they saw that you would be such an asset to
But
the
this is what
organization.
I tell. I have 3 daughters. So now, and they're each at different age, of course. I've got grandkids. So this is what I told my daughters when they were growing up and they were going to university, that look, you got to have a vision. You got to believe in yourself, but work hard, because there's nothing in this world that can replace hard work. When the employers see you working hard, your doors will open. And this is what I believe in, and this is exactly what has happened.
Very well said, Counselor. So you are definitely leading by example. Tell us how you made the switch into the world of politics. Like, what inspired you?
Well, politics is somewhere probably in my blood somehow. I don't know how, but even when I was in the university in Pakistan, um, I got involved in the national politics as a student, and then we got into student union and all. But then, of course, that's one of the reasons why my dad pushed me out of Pakistan. They said, one day you're going to get into trouble because those politics are bad for you. Anyways, that was just a way of expressing that, look, you got to go and do your CA. So I came here, and then by the time I finished and I was well settled, I realized that in order to help the community, help the city I'm living in, we all talk a lot. We all have suggestions, but that doesn't help. The only way it helps is when you get involved yourself. When you are on that table where decisions are being made, that's when you can make a difference. So I realized that in 1995, I ran as the provincial MPP from Markham. I was not successful because it was the, wave of Blue and Mike Harris and his candidates were all very successful. But it didn't bother. I mean, of course I lost, but that was it. That actually gave me more sort of impetus that I need to be involved in the local community. So I ran for the council of Markham. And that's when I realized, my God, this is more grassroots than provincial or federal, because here people can reach you, people can come to you and with their problems. And even then, most of the issues that we were handling as councillor was federal and provincial issues. I mean, everybody has immigration issue. Everybody has issue that my MP can help me in this. And, so the important things, the lesson I learned and the things that I want to share is that everybody is brilliant. Everybody has ideas. Everybody wants to do something. Well, you can only do it is if you get involved, get elected, be part of the decision making, because a lot of things that we want to do, we are able to do it because we are on the table.
Very well said. So we are glad now that you're Councilor, you're bringing about changes in the city of Markham with your team and with you listening to your constituents. So we want to find out more, but before that, it's time for a short break. Welcome back to Spotlight. We are talking to the multi-award winning leader in the community, the city of Markham, Ward 7 Councilor Khalid Usman. So, Councilor, we heard about your inspirational journey thus far, where you started and where you're now as Councilor. Now, let's dive right into your role as Councilor. Since you've taken office, what have you achieved with your goals for the city of Markham?
Well, Markham is a growing city. When I ran, we had hardly 125,000 people, but today we have 350,000 people and growing. And not only that, Markham is also known as the high-tech capital of Canada, because the number of IT companies, high-tech companies that may call Markham as home are tremendous. So what I've been doing as a councillor, not only looking after the constituents, but also helping business, because I'm the vice chair now. I'm the vice chair of economic development. And economic development plays a very, very important role in bringing new business to Markham, and also help the existing business, with their needs, so that they can expand. And when they expand, what happens is there's employment. And that is why in Markham, the prosperity, if there was a way to gauge, Markham is very, very prosperous. So my job as councillor, as vice chair of economic development, is to bring more business to Markham, help the companies export their business to other countries from Markham. And, being an international, having that exposure, that makes it very easy to do that. I remember that in one of the trade missions, I went to India as part of the team. And it was amazing, because you learned so much, and you are able to sort of project your city to the decision makers that are present there, the biggest companies and the biggest civil servants, powerful civil servants that are attending those seminars and those meetings. That, to me, it is very, very fruitful. So being as part of the economic development team, I've met with many delegations that have come from overseas, and that is how we try to create opportunities for Markham companies, link them together, and help them in both, whether there's technology, whether it's regular companies, whether it's exporting countries. So to me, this is what I love doing, expanding and helping the companies so that in turn, they are very productive, and they can increase employment for the people of Markham.
It is great, Councillor, that you're bringing in like that international experience and, the delegations you're being part of, because that helps, because we don't want to be stuck just within our own comfort zone, because there's so much happening around the world. So this is great that you have that advantage given your international experience.
Well,
I mean,
it's
no wonder.
It's a teamwork, right? So I know the Prime Minister does their own thing, their team does their own thing, the province does their own thing, and the cities also do their own thing. But all of it put together helps the economy. And that's what we're trying to do.
Very well said. Again, back to the humility that you have portrayed all the way through this talk. That's amazing. And it's no wonder then you have been awarded the Governor General's Caring Canadian Award, and hats off to you. And that's just one of many awards. And you've also received the prestigious Tamgai Khidmat from the President of Pakistan. So congratulations to you on that.
Yeah. Thank you very much.
Since we are talking about that, tell us a little bit more about your international work.
Well, I used to be over the years, I used to be the president of an international organization based in Toronto called IDRF, International Development Relief Foundation. And we used to work, we worked in about 35 different countries, from Middle East to India to Sri Lanka. And we had projects both in terms of development projects as well as direct help. So, over the years, Bosnia, for example, when there was war, we raised a lot of money to help the people and then settle them. Somalia, we helped them settle in Canada. So all that kind of work, international work, where you're helping and reaching out to ordinary people, to me, that is very fulfilling. And to me, that is something that whether you're creating jobs for them, or you're providing food to them, or you're providing, in certain countries, even today, you don't have drinking water. So whether we dig up the wells for them and provide them desalination plants or distilled water, I mean, to me, that is something that you say you're saving lives. And I think that's what was a start. And then in Pakistan specifically, I was involved with a few hospitals, and in one of them I'm still involved. It's called Imran Khan Cancer Appeal. He's now the Prime Minister of Pakistan, but in those days he was a cricketer, and he set up a cancer hospital. Today, we have 4 cancer hospitals in Pakistan. As a matter of fact, on the 12th, I'm doing a fundraiser again for this, and we want to raise about $750,000 because they're building this Karachi hospital, which is double the size of Lahore. It's one of the largest hospitals that they'll be building. You know, cancer treatment and cancer equipment is very, very expensive. And 75% of the people are treated 100% free because there's so much poverty in those countries, right? So that's the kind of work I did and for Pakistan, and that's where they gave me Tamgha Khidmat, means service to humanity. So that was what that medal is for. And
Very
in
well
Canada,
deserved.
being a chartered accountant, being in practice, and then giving out time, I used to be the chair of Markham Stouffville Hospital Foundation, raised a lot of money for Markham Stouffville. And so my involvement here, or York Region Community Foundation. So I've done a lot of work within the community, a larger community, to create the opportunities for the people that deserve help.
Wow, wow, Counselor. I mean, you're everywhere, and you're tackling every sector that requires the help from around the globe and within Canada. It's
Well, you know, as I said,
amazing.
I always believe in teamwork, so I'm not the only one. You'd be shocked. My wife is a physician, and she is my right-hand man, as such, right? Right-hand person, and she is there with me. My daughter's there with me there. So the whole family gets involved, and I'm very, very grateful because I think all of us have the same vision of helping out.
I love it. So it's the counselor and his team, which is a great team that's bringing together changes, again, not just within the city of Markham, within Canada and around the globe. It's such an inspiration to talk to you today, counselor. We have more to find about that wall behind you, which is full of memories, and how you make time for yourself to also relax. But before that, it's time for a short break. Welcome back to Spotlight. We are talking to the award winning City of Markham's Ward 7 councillor, who is just inspiring us with his journey and his work, which he does with credit to his team. So, councillor, we have heard so much inspiration today. And again, I have to say the humility that's coming through, that's part of your success, the hard work, the fact that you work together as a team, all this is bringing together the success that you've achieved thus far, and it's very well deserved. I'm going to digress for a bit. You have such a wonderful wall of memories behind you. Tell us a little bit more about what do you do beyond work, or what do you do when you're not doing something for others in terms of relaxing, hobbies, and tell us about some of those memorable moments that's behind you on your wall.
Well, as you can see, there's all these walls, they go all the way outside to the office, and they're all full of various certificates and of achievements, etc. But I'll tell you something. To me, you asked a very pertinent question as to what do you do to make yourself normal, right? Believe it or not, all these things that excite me, and that is the one that makes my very fulfilling and satisfying. And that's what gives me this feeling that, look, I've been able to make a difference. I think I was born to serve. I think that's how I see it. And I'm lucky, my wife, who's my partner, she has never, ever said to me, how come you spend so much time on the community? How come you're not giving it to us? They are just fabulous family. They pitch in themselves and they never complain. So that gives me even more sort of time to do other things. But yet, I also do a lot of traveling. So We just came back because of COVID, we could not travel. And it was almost like a year and a half of not being able to go anywhere, that it was just driving me crazy. So my wife and I decided that we got our sister who was coming from Pakistan visiting us. So four of us, we decided to go and drive to the east, and we went all the way to Newfoundland and drove. And it was in that process we saw 4 different provinces. So I love traveling, both internationally. We have done a lot of cruises going around and seeing so many different countries that we enjoy. Both Abda, who's my wife, and myself, we love a lot of history, and in the countries that we go to, we want to see what was there 2,000 years ago, what was there 100 years ago, all that. And you learn from different countries you visit. You go to Spain, you go to Turkey, you go, wherever you go, you find out. And that's what I love. I love traveling.
Amazing, Counselor. You're so well-rounded, and it's great to have such a great team around you as well, like you said. But it honestly starts with you. When you exude that kind of confidence and positivity, then I mean, people would love to work with you. And I can just I can just realize how your team loves working with you. And it's been such a great inspiration talking to you today, Counselor. You yourself mentioned that your role as a counselor, is a little bit more grassroots level when compared to, the provincial or federal levels. So if our viewers, as part of your constituency, want to be part of your efforts to bring about changes, where can they find out more information?
Well, they can go on to my website, Khalid Usman, www.khalidusman.com. But I'll tell you something, as a counselor, when I said I love grassroots work, it is because all my constituents, they have my cell phone. Actually, you'll never hear
Wow.
a politician giving out a cell phone. It is because I believe if I can make a difference, I will. So I want to hear directly. I don't want them going through my assistant or my secretary and getting so. And the other thing is, I always answer my phone. If I don't, I'll make sure I'll return the call. So that is my commitment to my constituents, because I'm here to serve them. And this is what I do. So it doesn't matter what issue it is. If it's not my issue, if it's a regional issue, we'll take it on and we'll take help from the regional councillors. If it's a provincial issue, I'll call up our provincial MPP's office and make sure they get the support that way. So, or a federal. So I think the important thing is, if anybody who wants to be in politics, they have to be committed, because without commitment, nothing will happen.
Very well said, Counselor. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you today. You have inspired us so much through your journey and through your work. Do you have any final words for our viewers who aspire to be like you someday?
Well, for people that want to get into politics, my advice is, please do your homework. If you want to make a change, if you want to make a difference, get involved, become a volunteer, and then run for the office. Because what happens is a lot of people try to run for the office directly without knowing issues, without knowing what is involved, and that's where they fall flat and they're not successful. But if you really want to run for an office, then get involved, learn the issues, learn what is needed for the public, and then run, because then you will be successful. But you got to have, as I said, you got to make sure that you have a vision and you are able to work towards it. And hard work, believe me, always pays.
Very well said, Counselor. Thank you very much for talking to us today, and we wish you all the best in your work as we support you as well.
Well, thank you for giving me this opportunity, because I think it's important for people to know what a full life that a counselor can have, even though it looks like very challenging. But believe me, every day there are things happening whereby we say, thank God we've achieved this, thank God we've achieved that. So it can only be done when you have a commitment.
Thank you very much, Counselor.
Thank you.
So that was Councilor Khalid Usman, who has encouraged us to work hard towards our goals and never give up. Well, that's a wrap for this week's show. Thank you for watching us. Continue to follow us on Facebook and Twitter and write to us at spotlight@ethnicchannels.com. Until next week, this is Amitha signing off, encouraging you to support our government officials.